Hello and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. Actually, in this video, I want to go back and update on a couple of things for you. The first thing I want to update on is McBroom's wonderful 1 acre farm. This is the American edition. This was the English edition. This had 4 stories in it. This had 3 stories in it. Well, it's out in paperback, and I had to wait till I saw my daughter and get copies of this that my grandchildren have. McBroom's wonderful 1 acre farm has 3 stories in it in the paperback. And if your child enjoys that, then you could always say, hey, there's another volume of this. You want to get that? It's got more stories, tall tales about this fabulous 1 acre farm. It's called Here Comes McBroom, with 3 more stories. The other thing that I've talked about recently that I wanted to say a little more about was when I looked at those pictures of the beautiful, beautiful wild gardens that people have established. Many of them had, more space than we've got, that's for sure. And because of that, they might have had a pool that either was a man-made pool or it was a natural, gently flowing little stream. Here's what we did, because water is important in attracting birds and wildlife in general, but especially birds. When we moved in here 27 years ago, my wife wanted to have a bird bath. Well, it doesn't take up much space at all. And there's 2 parts to it, the column or the pedestal or the base. Get that leveled in and set there. You don't have to do any concrete work or anything. This was a concrete bird bath that we got. And then on top of that pedestal sits a basin. And it's maybe that wide, dipping down to a deeper point. Water in it's maybe that high. Great. Robins will get in there and they just have a grand time. Flickers, hawks will sometimes, less frequently, but have come and had a nice bath in there. Smaller birds choose to be out toward the outer edges where it's not so deep. Hummingbirds come. So, in fact, if you spray water on the leaves of, say, the lilac, which is near this, hummingbird will go and drink from the water droplets. Now, the one thing that this needs is maintenance. You want to keep that water clear of seed droppings and things from trees and bushes and fecal matter. So my wife or I go out and we have a hose that we put on sort of high power, and it just squirt this water out in seconds, and that goes on to plants down below, and then switch it to sort of a shower, which will fill that up. It's sort of scalloped around the outside, the one we have, and so you can tell when it's just about ready to overflow, and there you've got it. It's important for the health of the birds to keep that water present, or there to be water, and to have it to be clean. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was field guides, just a little more. This is the field guide to wildflowers, Roger Torrey Peterson and Margaret McKinney, that I shared with you. I think this is a grand book, and I'm not trying to fault it when I mention that it's got the limitation of, because it's color-coded to the color of the flower. Once the flowers have stopped, to identify what that wildflower is harder. It's made easier by the fact that when Roger Torrey Peterson drew things, he was exact about the leaves, pointed out certain things about the leaves or the stems or something to guide you and help you even when there's not a flower. So it's a super guide that way. But this one is northeastern and north central North America. So you would want something that did southern states, and you'd want something that did western states. So that's a factor, and it's also, as guidebooks go, it's a hardcover, so it's heavy, heavier. You're lugging it about, and so I wanted to show you this book, which is paperback and lighter. It's called. It does the same thing. It's color coded to the. I'll give you some examples here. Here's Joe Pyeweed. There's a map of the United States, and it shows the region where one would find Joe Pyeweed. Now, we've discussed it. It goes up into New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, Cape Breton, and Ontario. And so somebody who's Canadian, I think, could still use this guide in many cases. Here's another example. Now, there's 50 different species. Whoa. Now, one of the things that it tells you that's really nice is late summer and fall, referring to when it blossoms. So I think that's a helpful little detail. Anyway, I got this book I had when I went to college, so that's 60 years ago, and still in print. So if you look it up on some place like Amazon, its title is Flowers, A Guide to Familiar American Wildflowers, a Golden Nature Guide. That was its original whole pile of titles were done by Herbert Zim, so I would include his name as well, Herbert Zim, Z-Z-I-M. And see if you should find it. I checked. I could even look inside and see that it matched up with this. Here's chicory. Chicory, it's summer and fall, and it's only one species, and it's from Florida to Maine to Washington State down here to California, almost all except for the desert areas. And they don't have much there's not a lot of talk here, but it's helpful. And this, the light blue flowers, rarely pinkish or white, grow close along stiff branching stems, 1 to 5 feet high. The flowers soon wither in the sunlight. Millions of pounds of chicory root, imported or grown locally, are roasted as a caffeine substitute. Well, then there's one more I was going to show you. That's the black-eyed Susan. And there's 90 species of yellow daisies, and they grow up to 3 feet high. Or the tall cornflower is from 3 to 10 feet high. Summertime is when it blossoms and or blooms. So all across the country. And you know, milkweed is all across the U.S. I didn't realize that. And of course, it's a vital link in the life cycle of the monarch butterfly. So I was pleased to discover that. The other guide is really, there are 6 books here, and they're all done by Cicely Mary Barker. And each book has 20, features 20 flowers. These are flower fairies of the spring, and I'll show you what they look like on the inside. Here's the dandelion, and a really great job on the leaves, the flowers, as it buds before it opens up to the flower, what that looks like. The seed globe, the stem, and what's left residual there after all the seeds have blown away. There's a couple still holding on there, helping identification. So they're very exacting, wonderful drawings. And then she's got a neat little rhyming verse for each of the 20 in all the books. Here's Flower Fairies of the Summer. It's got foxglove in it, it's got white clover, and so on. And the same thing. Now, autumn's a little tricky because there are maybe not even 20 that are really blooming then. It's hard. So what she's done, she's made some exceptions. She's shown the fruit. It might be the acorn, it might be the horse chestnut, it might be the blackberry itself. And winter, ooh, even harder. She does show the snowdrop, and often plants with berries, Flower Fairies of the Wayside. Again, 20 more. And Flower Fairies of the Trees. I mean, all the trees flower. And so she's got, for instance, the laburnum, which is 2 just here by our place that just, and she's captured the glorious hanging show of yellow flowers before they open, what they would look like, and as they're opened, the seed pods, even as they crack open and you can see the little seeds inside. And then there's a little footnote. This is a very important footnote. It says they must never be eaten, as they are poisonous. So I think it's important that children learn about the plants that have things that look like they could eat, which ones are poisonous and which ones aren't. And that's a lovely little series of books. Well, thanks for joining me. Until next time, bye for now.